Vitor Vieira Belfort is a Brazilian mixed martial artist and former UFC Light Heavyweight Champion as well as UFC 12 Heavyweight Tournament Champion. Belfort was born in Rio de Janeiro and studied jiu-jitsu with the Gracie family, namely Carlson Gracie. As of July 22, 2014, he is number 2 in official UFC middleweight rankings, number 13 in light heavyweight and number 12 pound for pound. Mixed martial arts career. At the age of 19, Belfort came to the United States to compete. In his first sanctioned mixed martial arts match, an event called Super Brawl in Hawaii, his opponent was John Hess, whom the young Brazilian defeated in 12 seconds by knockout, despite Hess having a 7-inch height advantage and an over 100-pound weight advantage over Belfort. Ultimate Fighting Championship. Soon after, he moved on to compete in the UFC, where he was given the nickname the Phenom. He beat 2 fighters in his debut event in the UFC, winning the UFC 12 heavyweight tournament. At age 19, Belfort became the youngest fighter to ever score a victory inside the octagon. Belfort's next match saw him score a technical knockout against the UFC 6 runner-up Tank Abbott in a non-tournament fight, knocking Abbott down and finishing him with a ground-and-pound attack. Heavyweight title shot Belfort vs. Couture and other bouts. In 1997 Belfort fought against American Greco-Roman wrestler Randy Couture, the first of 3 fights they would have. Belfort was upset by TKO 8-16 into the match, his boxing skills negated by Couture's clinch fighting. After this defeat, he would fight twice more in the UFC. The first of these fights was against a training partner of his, Joe Charles, who he defeated quickly via armor without throwing a single punch. A year later, Belfort faced rising Brazilian star and future Pride middleweight champion Wanderlei Silva. Catching Silva early with a left cross, Belfort chased him across the cage with a flurry of punches, TKOing Silva in just 44 seconds. Pride Fighting Championships. Vitor then moved on to fight in Japan's Pride Fighting Championships. His first opponent was Kazushi Sakuraba in 1999. Vitor controlled the first minutes of the fight before breaking his hand. The remainder of the fight was spent on his back being stomped and kicked by Sakuraba. Following the fight he stopped training with Carlson Gracie and started to train with Brazilian top team. He fought in Pride against Alistair Overeem, Gilbert Yvel, Daijiro Matsui, Bobby Southworth, and Heath Herring. For these matches Belfort used his stand-up striking skills less and instead controlled the fights and won by ground-and-pound tactics, with the exception of his fight with Southworth, which he won via rear naked choke in the first round. However, in the opening round of the 2005 Middleweight Grand Prix he faced Alistair Overeem, losing via first-round guillotine choke. Returning to the UFC, Belfort was scheduled to fight Tito Ortiz in the main event of UFC's first Las Vegas show at UFC 33. However, he sustained an injury prior to the event, and the bout was cancelled. Belfort eventually returned and fought Chuck Liddell, then Marvin Eastman. Winning and losing the title Belfort vs. Couture 2 and 3, his next fight was on January 31, 2004. A rematch with Randy Couture for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. Despite agonizing over his sister Priscilla Belfort, who disappeared on January 9, Vitor won the fight in 49 seconds after a seam from his glove cut Couture's eye, leaving Couture with a corneal abrasion, prompting a referee stoppage. A third match between the two took place on August 21, 2004. Couture won via doctor's stoppage after the third round, recapturing the title. Belfort vs. Ortiz. His next fight in the UFC was against Tito Ortiz on February 5, 2005. The fight was Ortiz's last fight on his contract. Belfort had early success in the first round, landing his best punches during the stand-up, but was taken down late in the round and took some of Ortiz's best elbows. Belfort again had a strong start in the second but was taken down a second time and had where some elbows late in the round. Both fighters were exhausted by round 3, with Belfort too tired to land a single punch and got taken down a third time and got held down for the entire round, and Ortiz again landed some elbows and dominated Vitor. After a hard-fought battle, Belfort lost a close split decision, where some people, including then UFC Light Heavyweight Champion, Chuck Liddell believed he deserved to win the first as well as the second round, due to his octagon control and breaking Ortiz's nose with punches, early in round 1. Strikeforce, Vitor then fought in Strikeforce for a rematch with Alistair Overeem. This time Belfort was defeated via unanimous decision. Alistair said the following word after his winner. "Vitor was one of the toughest guy I ever fought, he's amazing." Return to Pride and steroid controversy. At Pride 32, The Real Deal on October 21, 2006, Belfort lost a unanimous decision to Pride welterweight champion Dan Henderson. After the fight, Belfort tested positive for an illegal substance, 4-hydroxytestosterone. In his defense, Belfort argued that he purchased an over-the-counter supplement which contained 4-hydroxytestosterone. Belfort also explained that he may have received 4-hydroxytestosterone as the result of rehabilitative injections given to him by Brazilian endocrinologist Dr. Rodrigo M. Greco after his surgery to repair a torn meniscus in his knee in the summer of 2006. The Nevada State Athletic Commission eventually received a statement from Dr. Greco stating that he did give Belfort post-surgical injections containing testosterone. While conceding that Belfort may have not known about the testosterone, the NSAC explained that even if Belfort was given injections by a medical practitioner who did not inform him that they contained anabolic steroids, it would still be a violation of the banned substances policy. On December 21, 2006 he was suspended for 9 months from the date of the hearing and fined $10,000. Cage Rage. Vitor Belfort defeated Ivan Cerrati by TKO at Cage Rage 21 in England on April 21, 2007. He defeated James Zikic on September 22, 2007 at Cage Rage 23 to claim the Cage Rage Light Heavyweight title in a unanimous decision. He entered the fight with a broken hand and during the fight threw minimal punches and utilized takedowns and ground and pound techniques. Affliction. Vitor spent a brief time training for his Affliction fight against Terry Martin with Shoot Bouts in Brazil. However, he completed his preparation for the fight at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. Randy Couture and Shawn Tompkins helped train him for the fight in which he got a second-round KO by landing a flying knee and following up with an uppercut straight left combination. After the fight, Couture said Belfort was thinking about moving to Las Vegas and training at Extreme Couture full-time. Belfort's next fight was slated to be against Matt Lindland at the second Affliction event, however, he was forced to pull out due to a hand injury sustained during the Terry Martin fight. The second Affliction event was postponed anyway and rescheduled for January 2009, enabling Vitor to fight on that card. After rumors of a possible bout with reigning Dream middleweight Grand Prix winner Gegard Mousasi were circulating, it was announced that Vitor would finally fight Lindland at Affliction, Day of Reckoning. Lindland was originally slated to fight Renato Sobral at a catchweight, but promoters of Affliction preferred the Belfort vs Lindland fight at middleweight. The fight ended in a KO within 37 seconds as Belfort delivered a strong left to Lindland's jaw and followed up with 4 unanswered power shots as he hit the ground. Third UFC run. During a press conference, Dana White announced that the UFC had re-signed Belfort to a contract. His first match was against Rich Franklin at a catchweight of 195 lbs, headlining UFC 103, which he won by knockout 3 minutes and 2 seconds into the first round. Middleweight title shot. Belfort was expected to face Anderson Silva for the UFC Middleweight Championship on January 2, 2010 at UFC 108. However, Silva's manager, Ed Soares, announced that Silva would not be fully recovered from his injury by that time, so the fight was postponed. Belfort was again slated to fight Silva on February 6, 2010 at UFC 109 and April 10, 2010 at UFC 112, respectively, but both fights were cancelled because of a surgery for Silva and an injury suffered by Belfort. Belfort was scheduled to fight Yushin Okami at UFC 122. However, Dana White tweeted Belfort would instead challenge Silva at UFC 126 for the belt. Belfort lost by knockout after getting hit with a front kick to the face and taking 2 punches after falling to the mat. Middleweight and catchweight bouts. Belfort made his return at UFC 133 against Yoshiro Akiyama. Belfort initially thought the UFC would try to put him on the card at UFC 134 in Brazil, but the fight with Akiyama came together to help bolster the card in Philadelphia. Belfort contracted hepatitis A in April, shortly after accepting the fight, but his representative, Pedro Lima, said that it would not jeopardize the bout with Akiyama. Belfort was successful in his return, winning the fight by knockout 1 minute and 52 seconds into the first round. Belfort was briefly linked to a matchup with Kung La, expected to take place on November 19, 2011 at UFC 139. However, Belfort was removed from the bout due to injury and replaced by Wanderlei Silva. Belfort faced Anthony Johnson on January 14, 2012 at UFC 142. During the UFC 142 weigh-ins, Johnson came in 11 pounds over the 186 lb weight allowance and was fined 20% of his earnings. Belfort requested that Johnson not weigh more than 205 lbs the day of the fight. The UFC had Johnson weigh in a second time. Johnson officially weighed in at 204 lbs on fight day, and the fight with Belfort proceeded as scheduled, with Belfort winning via rear naked choke in the first round, his first submission win in over a decade. The Ultimate Fighter, Brazil, Belfort was selected to coach The Ultimate Fighter, Brazil against Wanderlei Silva. The rematch between Belfort and Silva was expected to take place on June 23, 2012 at UFC 147. However, on May 27, 2012, Belfort was forced to pull out of the bout, citing a broken hand in training, and replaced by Rich Franklin. In a recent interview, Belfort expressed disinterest in actually fighting Wanderlei Silva. He told Fighters Only magazine, I guess Wanderlei will be able to fight in October, but I only want that my next bout that accredits me to dispute the belt. I'd only unregistered trademark Tino, maybe Michael Bisping. I was only defeated once recently, by Anderson Silva, and all my wins were very convincing. He further stated, I'd only unregistered trademark Tino how long I will stay in this division. I wanted to do more 2 or 3 fights. If my body will no longer permit this big weight cutting, I will go up. I'm not afraid of John Jones or somebody else. It's not for me to choose my opponents. Second light heavyweight title shot. Belfort was expected to face Alan Belcher on October 13, 2012 at UFC 153. However, he replaced Lyoto Machida in a bout against John Jones at UFC 152 for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship after Machida rejected the offer due to lack of time to train before the fight. Despite almost submitting Jones via armor in the first round, he was dominated during the remainder of the bout and submitted via colloque at 0:54 of the fourth round. Return to middleweight. Belfort faced Michael Bisping on January 19, 2013 at UFC on FX, Belfort vs Bisping, winning by a TKO due to a head kick and punches at 1:27 of the second round. Belfort faced final Strikeforce middleweight champion and promotional newcomer Luke Rockhold on May 18, 2013 at UFC on FX, Belfort vs Rockhold. He won the fight via knockout in the first round. Light heavyweight bout. Belfort faced Dan Henderson at light heavyweight in a rematch on November 9, 2013 at UFC Fight Night 32. Belfort defeated Henderson via first-round knockout to become the first person to defeat Henderson via strikes. The win also earned Belfort his 5th Knockout of the Night bonus award. Second middleweight title shot. Belfort was expected to face UFC middleweight champion Chris Weidman at UFC 173. However, Belfort chose to withdraw from the fight following the Nevada State Athletic Commission's ban on exemptions for testosterone replacement therapy and will be replaced by Lyoto Machida. Subsequently, Belfort revealed that he had failed a random drug test in February, due to elevated levels of testosterone. Belfort was expected to face Chael Sonnen on July 5, 2014 at UFC 175 as a replacement for Wanderlei Silva. However, Sonnen failed a random drug test and was removed from the bout. The following day it was announced by MMA writer Kevin Isle that Belfort had also been removed from the card due to the inability of the UFC finding him a new opponent. Weidman vs. Belfort is now expected to take place on December 6, 2014 at UFC 181. Championships and accomplishments: Mixed Martial Arts, Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC Light Heavyweight Championship, UFC 12 Heavyweight Tournament winner, Knockout of the Night. Cage Rage Championships, Cage Rage Light Heavyweight Championship. World MMA Awards, 2013 Knockout of the Year vs. Luke Rockhold. jiu-jitsu, 2013 All Violence First Team. Submission Grappling, ADCC Submission Wrestling World Championship, ADCC 2001 Absolute Division Euro Bronze Medal. Mixed Martial Arts Record, ADCC Championships. In 2001 Belfort participated in the ADCC Championships, in their Absolute Division. Prior to that competition he had already faced Hierarchy Fukuda, winning by submission, and Mark Robinson, losing by points. In the championship Belfort faced Genki Sudo, winning by points, Rico Rodriguez, winning by points, Ricardo Arona in the semi-final, losing by points, and finally in the third-place fight defeating Ricardo Almeida by points, winning the bronze medal. Submission Grappling Record, Pro Boxing. On April 11, 2006 Vitor fought in his pro boxing debut against Jose Mario Neves. Belfort won by TKO within the first minute after knocking his opponent down 3 times. This has been his sole venture into the sport of professional boxing so far. Belfort has expressed a desire to return to professional boxing, stating in 2008 that he was interested in talking with Golden Boy Promotions regarding a deal. In 2010, in response to former IBA heavyweight champion James Toney's challenge to fight an MMA fighter in the boxing ring, Belfort expressed interest in representing the sport of MMA against Toney in a 6-round professional match. James Toney, however, went on to be defeated in the UFC octagon by Randy Couture at UFC 118. Pro Boxing Record, Personal Life. Vitor was born on April 1, 1977 in Rio de Janeiro. He is of Greek and French ancestry. Belfort is married to Jonah Prado, with whom he has 3 children. They started dating in 2000, broke up but repatched during a reality show in 2002. That same year Belfort appeared next to Jonah when she was photographed for the Brazilian edition of Playboy. On January 9, 2004, Vitor's sister, Priscilla Belfort disappeared and the relatives received no information about her. In August 2007, a woman confessed that she participated in her kidnapping and killing and that she was kidnapped to pay off a $4,000 debt Pava had with drug dealers. Pava was arrested along with 3 others alleged to be involved in the kidnapping. The group allegedly buried her body in the woods in Rio de Janeiro where police conducted searches but her remains have never been found. Her family however does not accept this version and believes that Priscilla is still alive somewhere. Vitor still maintains a missing page on the Brazilian version of his website. Belfort speaks Portuguese, English, and Spanish. He is a dedicated Christian. Belfort believes the most important key to his success and longevity in the sport is that he is happy with what he does. I just thank God every day. Unregistered trademark happy. Unregistered trademark healthy. Bottom line is unregistered trademark just the way you treat life and life will treat you back. Make sure you're unregistered trademark happy with whatever is going on in your life. I think the key of life is just be happy with her to unregistered trademark in front of you and the decision of my life is under God and God knows her to unregistered trademark best for me. Belfort also appeared in a testimonial video on I Am Second, in which he shares his story of his faith in Jesus Christ. His autobiography Vitor Belfort, Lia Picavolt Micrones de Gara, Far copyright Iciso was published by Thomas Nelson Brazil in 2012. Belfort appears in the video for the song Undone by the Almost. References. External links, official website, professional MMA record for Vitor Belfort from jiu-jitsu, Vitor Belfort on UFC.com.